Coats and Goggles, as today we will explore how environmental changes cause some organisms to perish, move, or die. And we'll explore this through a reading and a science activity. Let's get into our essential questions first.
Now, let's talk about our essential question. Remember, essential questions in science and in different lessons can help us think about what we already know about a topic, and it helps us connect to new ideas that we're going to learn today to help us produce a new thought about the topic. Our essential questions will be focused on our different science topics. So look for key words. In those keywords, the minute you see them and recognize them, I want you to think, what do I already know about this topic? Once you have that in your mind, you want to look at the question again to see what we're trying to answer today or what are we trying to answer about that topic. It's important to remember that an essential question is like a goal as well. By the end of our science lesson, you should confidently be able to answer the essential question. Let's go over our essential question for today.
Our essential questions for today are as follows. Listen to me first. What are the physical characteristics of an environment? Read that one with me. What are the physical characteristics of an environment? Let's look at the second one. This one's a little bit longer, so listen and follow along carefully. How do the physical characteristics of an environment support populations and communities of plants and animals in an ecosystem? Say that one with me. We'll go nice and slow. Ready? Let's go. How do the physical characteristics of an environment support populations and communities of plants and animals in an ecosystem? Nice job, scientists. Take a nice deep breath. And let's look at the last one. Listen to me as I read. How do environmental changes affect organisms within an ecosystem? Say this one with me, nice and loud and proud. Ready? Let's go. How do environmental changes affect organisms within an ecosystem? Nice job, scientists. Let's get into today's activities. Now, before we start today's activity, I want you to look closely at these two images. You're going to pause the video in a second and you're going to make observations on what you notice. What are some of the characteristics that you notice just by looking at each picture? Then I want you to think, based on those characteristics, what kind of plants and animals do you think can live in those areas? When you come back, we'll talk more about what these images represent. The two images that you had time to explore show two very different environments. In these different environments, we are seeing that in one environment, there is a lack of trees and greenery. On the other environment, we are able to see that there are more trees and more greenery around for maybe more plants and animals to survive. The reason we are looking at these two pictures is because today we are going to talk about drought. Drought is a period of time when water is scarce, meaning not a lot of water is happening in an area because of lack of precipitation. That means it's not raining a lot, so an area is not getting a lot of water. That also means that the plants and animals that live in that environment or in those communities are not receiving a lot of water either. And that's something that those plants and animals, a lot of them need to survive. Now, why are we talking about this? Well, we're going to read an article together called Drought. And I wanted you guys to have a little background information on what drought is. Let's get into that article together. With me. We can see the picture at the top here. I'm excited to find out what that has to do with our article. We'll start on paragraph 1. Ten and Sarah are park rangers. They took the Jeep out to see what was going on where they worked. They worked at the state park. They felt nervous about what they saw. During spring, it usually rained for days in their park. The rain made the flowers bloom. It also made the leaves turn green. This year was different. The park had not had rain in over a month. It was a real drought. A drought is a shortage of water. It is usually caused by a lack of rain. Sarah and Ten started to get into the Jeep. They saw a family of deer. The deer were near the station. They were eating the grass in front of the building. That grass was still green because humans had watered it. Ted remembered seeing the doe and her fawns. A doe is a mother deer. I've never seen them so close to human buildings and cars, he said. The drought must be making it hard for them to find water and food. They are trying to find it close to people. Sarah agreed. You know, they like to hide in the bushes and tall grass. Those normal hiding places are probably disappearing, so many plants are dried up. Yes, this drought is affecting their water supply. It is also disturbing their food. It is also hurting their shelter, said Ted. Sarah and Ted drove down one of the forest trails. They wanted to see what the drought was doing to the rest of the park. They saw the plants that had dried up. They were dying. The pond was shrinking and muddy. This is where the animals came for water. They took pictures of what they saw. They wanted to tell the other rangers. They were concerned about the dried plants. The plants are producers. They use soil, water, air, and energy from the sun. They use this to produce food. The other animals eat the producers. Consumers are the animals that eat the producers. They do not have anything to eat if the plants don't make food. Sarah and Ted stopped. They got out of the Jeep. They wanted to look at some tracks they saw. Sarah looked closely. Uh-oh, Ted, these are mountain lion tracks. The meat eaters are coming closer. They are getting close to the ranger station. They must be following the deer. Carnivores will follow the herbivores, Ted said. We will have to warn the park visitors, said Sarah. The two park rangers got back to the station. They were ready to tell the other rangers what they saw. They saw their friend Jose when they walked into the station. He held up the newspaper. Guess what? The forecast predicts rain all next week, said Jose. Ted and Sarah smiled. Drought might not be totally over, but a week of rain would be a great start. Nice job, scientists, in following me along as we read this article. You are going to work together as a class to answer the questions that follow this article. Take your time reading the questions and using the material in the article to help identify the correct answers. And I'll see you scientists soon.